She came over to me, and she looks down on me. She was very tall. I want to dance with you. And it wasn't a request. It was, and then she puts on this unusual song on the jukebox. I don't know if you did. It was from the 1950s at the Hop. And she literally lifts me off the floor and starts like doing like this hop dance with me, swinging me this way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just that's gotta be terrifying.
I know, I was terrified. And then it ends, and then she puts me down.
What a sentence. The song ends, she put me down.
I was like, thank you very much. And walks over, and I was like, oh my God.
Was that your first
That
time
was my
dancing
first
with...
lesbian experience, yes.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
It's the vibrator that has no equal. And now, Motor Bunny offers their thrusting sex machine, the Motor Bunny Buck. Enjoy a fan whore discount at manwhorepod.com/motorbunny or use promo code manwhore at checkout. HotMovies.com has long been an ethical and affordable place to hashtag pay for some of your porn. Now with Hot Movies Select, customers gain access to unlimited viewings of tens of thousands of additional films from all their favorite studios for the low price of $24.95. Visit hotmovies.com, click Select Unlimited, and use promo code MANWHORE at checkout so they know who sent you. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
Shout out to all the butt sluts, the front tops, the down dogs, and the U-Haul Rewards Program members. This is Billy Procida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast. From the roof. Hi. You know, it's actually 7 years ago when I started this podcast, it was a dream. It was kind of a real big hope and wish of mine that I would get to meet and interview the owner of one of my favorite bars in all of New York City, Cubbyhole. And unfortunately, Tanya Saunders is no longer with us, but I am still interviewing the owner of Cubbyhole, Lisa Menichino. And I'm so excited to share her with y'all in a little bit. But first, you know, this is the lesbian bar episode, so obviously I have to promote the upcoming Fan Whore Fantasy Football League. You know, last year we didn't do fantasy, okay? You know, I honestly did not think the NFL season would complete, but hey, I've been known to be wrong on rare occasions. But we're definitely doing it this year. We do a 10 or 12 team league depending on the interest. It's a $30 buy-in, and we draft in like mid to late August. So if you want to snag a spot, just shoot me an email at manwhorepod@gmail.com. Our main rule is you have to have a sexually suggestive fantasy football team name. And if you're feeling on the fence about joining, it's a 0.5 PPR league, if those words mean anything to you. Let's see what else is on the agenda here. It appears that I have a birthday on Saturday. Oh. In lieu of gifts, you know, it would be great. It'd be wonderful. I would certainly appreciate you if you would share a link to the Man Whore Podcast Pause on Main. Ooh, yeah. You know, research still says that the number one way people discover and listen to new podcasts is through friend recommendations, especially those friend recommendations that are publicly on social media. It's kind of like endorsing it. You know, if you have to whisper to someone to check out a show, it sounds like you're not supposed to do it. Dress it up however you got it for Aunt Irene. Ooh, I'm not a big old poly, kinky, slutty person, but he's got fun anecdotes. Makes you think. It'd be a huge help for the show, and it would make my heart swell. And I would love for you to help swell my heart before I get even older. And then it's just no longer safe or healthy for my heart to swell so much. So let's swell my heart now while it's still safe. I ate a huge plate of bacon this morning. You know, I did offer my dad like his own birthday dinner or meal with me because he's not the biggest fan of dining with his very expensive divorce partner. And he, a couple years ago for my 30th birthday, he was a good sport and he did do a dinner with me and my mom and not his girlfriend. And like, that was dope. So I tried to cut him some slack, but to my surprise, he was like, no, it's okay. She can come. Yeah, no, I'll get us all dinner. So I don't know. I guess mom and dad, y'all gonna fuck? What's up? Give me a baby. Can you give me a baby brother for my birthday? What's going on? Oh gosh, I'm feeling good. I got on a scale for the first time in like 2 months. I was getting dressed for Hacienda and I just wanted to know, I had to promise to myself I would remain confident at the party if I just got a little peek at the number. And it's not the absolute heaviest I've ever been in my life, but it's not far from it. I haven't been doing anything diet wise, I've been doing the daily yoga. And I hate how spiritual it's making me feel. For decades, I mocked the practice for no good reason other than Brian Regan had a joke in 2002 about how he couldn't relax during the relaxation pose. And I was 13 and thought, that's how I'm going to feel about yoga for the rest of my life. I was such a fool. And I see this number, and it's not a nice number. I still don't like it. But I have never felt sexier. I've just been consistently happier. I've strung together so many good days. I'm recording this on the roof of my building just to see if any of the shoes are going to drop. I feel good things happening. I can't wait to see how I fuck that up. People, I'm even making meals. Longtime listeners who know my eating habits, I feel like I've been lying to all of you, honestly, by not sharing this. I've been, on occasion, making myself green beans with my steaks. Yeah, voluntarily eating vegetables with no woman in the vicinity to impress. This might be the closest I've been to taking care of myself. I gotta imagine the OnlyFans, helped a lot with the whole body stuff, because it's kind of hard for me to say I have an objectively unattractive body if that body is making enough money to pay rent on its own. I think that, combined with being able to get out there and pursue connections and with being all vaxxed up and applying some things I've been learning about myself over the last year and a half locked up inside, things are looking up. Let me do a quick business item, transition out of the vulnerability into capitalism, and then just a pinch more capitalism, and then we'll get to Lisa. How's that for a plan? Cool. Let's do a fan appreciation moment. Let's cleanse the palate. I want to give a shout out right now to Gilberto Molina. If I ever have a tweet that's just 0 retweets, 0 likes, 0 replies, I can just look at my watch and be like, Gilberto's going to show up for me real soon. I can count on it. Thanks for all that. And thanks for supporting the Man Whore Podcast on Patreon. And you can become a member today for as little as $2 at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. I'm currently running a special promotion where if you pledge for an annual membership, you get 1 whole month off. Look at that. Again, join today at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Now for this week's guest, Lisa Menichino. Lisa is the owner of the illustrious Cubbyhole establishment. She was previously a bartender there for a couple decades. I was connected with Lisa through the fine folks at the Lesbian Bar Project. Some of y'all might remember back late last year, we had on a little segment talking about the shocking decline in the number of lesbian bars in this country. They have found a few more since then, but I think we're still up to just 21 lesbian bars still running in the United States of America right now. That is insane. So the LBP for the entire month of June is raising money to redistribute to these various establishments, help keep the lights on, help pay that back rent, help keep that staff on the payroll, help keep things spruced up and all that good stuff. So please, if you can, please donate. I myself, last year, I accidentally overdrew my account for a day because I donated on the wrong day. But, I'm still happy I did it. But please head on over to lesbianbarproject.com. I'll have a link in the show notes. Also, They have a documentary that is coming out tomorrow, Thursday, June 3rd, through the Jägermeister Global YouTube channel. This might be the only time I visit the Jägermeister YouTube channel, but I know I will be checking out that film. Executive produced by Leah Delaria from Orange is the New Black. Also on the Man Whore Podcast guest wish list, Leah, if you're listening, call me. Folks, I recorded this with Lisa Menichino. I show up and I think we're going to record like in an office. She's like, yeah, you can come by Cubby. We'll record here. I'm like, great. I arrive and she's like, well, we don't really have an office. There's nowhere like you and I could properly sit and have a conversation in the back. And they had, it was a really nice day out and hot. So they had the AC was on super loud in there. So we recorded outside in their outdoor dining little area out on the corner of West 4th and West 12th Street. But that also means that we were recording outside on a New York City street. So you will hear soundscapes of the city. I hope it's not too irritating for you. I hope you just close your eyes and imagine you are also, hanging out outside of one of the 3 lesbian bars remaining in New York City. Also, if you can hear it, say hello to the J Train, everybody. Say hi, J Train. But Cubby is just a very special place in this city, especially for queer women. Lisa gives us some origins, some fun stories, and shares a little bit about herself as well. Let's go chat with Lisa Menichino about some Cubby. The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by HotMovies.com. It can be annoying and frustrating to manage different porn monthly memberships to different sites so you can get all the different types of porn that you want. But HotMovies.com, they got content from all your favorite porn studios, starring all your favorite porn performers, doing all your favorite porn categories. And, so they got stuff for straight people, gay guys, kinky folks, lesbians, queer women. They got stuff for you, by you, too. You want Crash Pad series? They've got a whole mess of it. And you can get some free minutes to enjoy the HotMovies.com experience when you use promo code MANWHORE at checkout. You got to pay for some of your porn anyway, and you want to support brands that support this show. So why don't you head on over to HotMovies.com and do it up. Promo code MANWHORE. For years, I have been promoting the Motor Bunny because it is like the most powerful vibrator out there. If you're someone who feels like you burn through vibrators every 3 months because none of them can really quite get strong enough, then, oh gosh, do I have a challenger for you. The Motor Bunny. It's wild. I've used the Motor Bunny. About one, I would say on average, like once every 9 to 15 months, I sit that sweet tush down on the Motor Bunny. And I got to tell you, I can only take it to 5, maybe 5.5. This soft boy butt is weak. But that Motor Bunny can crank it up to 11. So I want to know, does that pussy got what it takes? Or if you're using your butthole and you got a stronger butthole than me, hey, let me know. Folks, if you want to get $50 off your own Motor Bunny or their new product, the Motor Bunny Buck, use my very special URL. It'll automatically apply your code at checkout. Head on over to manwhorepod.com/motorbunny. And if this is an endorsement, I don't know what is. One of my exes theorizes that they stayed in the relationships 2 months longer than they should have because they really liked the Motor Bunny. Enjoy a very special Man Whore Podcast discount at manwhorepod.com/motorbunny. Now let's get to the show.
What happened was I was working as a social worker in family court, and I was kind of like at a crossroads. And, I was in my late 20s, and I was trying to decide whether I wanted to go on to get my MSW or because I was kind of burning out from what I was doing. It was hard, not physically, but mentally. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take a little break from it all and go back. I had always bartended through college and whatnot, and I'm going to bartend for a little while and try and figure out what I wanted to do. So I had a friend that was a bartender here, and she was leaving. She was moving to Florida, and she introduced me to the owner and creator of Cubby, Tanya Saunders. And Tanya and I just hit it off immediately. And she hired me, and I just, I never left. I fell in love with the little bar and the owner and its patrons and its vibe and the whole thing. So I worked here for several years, and I became the manager. And then when Tanya got ill, I started running the whole thing. And when she passed away, she left the bar to me, and that was 3 years ago.
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Did you know that was going to happen, or was that a
no?
postpartum
She
discovery?
told me, yeah, because she didn't know what, when she started getting sick, she wasn't sure what to do with it, and she thought about. I mean, she didn't. She told me, I'm gonna leave you either all of it or part of it, and I never asked what the situation was, but she said I have to make some decisions and see what I think would be best to do, and she left me all of it.
Did that feel like a big responsibility?
It did in one way, because she was such a special human being in so many ways and so loved. And I felt, I was honored. And even though I had been running the bar for a few years, it's still, to live up to what Tanya was it was going to be difficult. But I loved Cubby. And so I was honored and scared and all those things at once.
It's not just a responsibility to Tanya, it's like a responsibility to the
whole community
yeah.
to continue, because this is such a special place. I mean, it's magical almost. And I don't say that because I'm the owner and love it. It's just so many people have so many life's milestone experiences here. And
some big revelations have happened in this bar.
It's true. Oh. I mean, crazy stuff, and just like, the first kiss, innocent, sweet stuff, but really important stuff to people. I realized that when we had closed, because one of the things Tanya always felt was that this bar has been around as Cubbyhole for 27 years. Mm. One of the things, she never, ever closed. 365 days a year, 7 days a week, through 9/11, through Sandy, blackouts, blizzards. She wanted the bar to open, even if it was for just like a couple hours a day, so that people would have, whatever environmental stresses they were feeling, they would have a safe place to go. It was interesting. Being a lesbian in the late 50s and 60s it wasn't easy. And she came from a family who really did not accept it. And she was telling me a story about some of the bars in, the early 60s or whatnot, used to be mixed. They used to have the gay men and lesbians there, because what would happen was they'd be raided, and it was speakeasy-like, so people would look out the thing. And if they saw the cops were coming or heard that they were being raided, the lesbians would start dancing with the men to throw them off.
Everyone act like mom and dad are coming home.
Also, she took it one step further. She was with her partner. Also, her partner family was not accepting of this at all. So they lived on Horatio Street, and above them was a gay male couple. And they actually got married. They married one another, and they would pretend to be together whenever the family would visit. Yeah. So she was always in the company of gay men, and she loved gay men, and she loved transgender people, and she wanted a lesbian bar because she felt that was important. But she wanted a lesbian bar where lesbians, straight friends could come, lesbians, family can come, lesbians, gay men can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's lesbian, but we're not going to.
I've never felt like I was getting a side eye when I've been in there. Yeah.
Exactly. She didn't want that. And that's what she created. And she wanted, again, also in terms of the community and the neighborhood, she wanted a safe space for people, no matter what the circumstances were going on. So she never ever closed. So it was really emotional when I was forced to close by the state.
Yeah.
For good reason. I mean, you couldn't, in March 16th, 2020, that was tough.
When you started, working here and fall in love with the place, what does Cubby mean to you before you even owned it?
Cubby became like a second family to me. Especially with its regulars. And even people would come from all over the place, from all over the country, all over the world. And we would make them feel like the atmosphere in there, the ambiance would make them feel like this is like they're going to visit a friend. Yeah. Like Cubbyhole has become their old friend. I felt that way too, working that way. Yeah. And, we have our regulars that have been coming for years. And we're famous for our ceiling. But some of the stories about the ceiling, Tanya had gone to New Orleans before when she owned DT Fat Cats, which was much different than this. And she noticed, like, at this restaurant, they had some vines hanging from the ceiling. And she thought to herself, you know what? I think that would look really cool if I had a bar and hung all these things from the ceiling. So she did. And it kind of progressed over the years to where it changes now with the seasons and the holidays. In terms of like how special people are to us, how special our regulars and our customers are to us, is behind the bar. The things that are up there are all gifts that our patrons bring to us from their travels around the world. And we don't change those out. We keep them until they fall or whatever.
That's very
but,
sweet.
Yeah. So it's a very, that's the kind of place it is. And it's almost like transcends its like edifice. It's become like an emotional connection to so many people. Mm-hmm. And it's just, and you felt that work in there. You did. And it's just, I love it. It's not unusual because I'm going to come in alone and just come out with a whole bunch of new friends just because people are talking. You know what it is, too? It makes it special. I often find, like, New York is such a big city and crowded city, yet it's filled with kind of, like, a lot of lonely people, I think, because, like, I think of myself, I live in a building with 100 other people, and I don't even know my neighbors. I mean, maybe wave to them on the way. And I think it's a lot because New Yorkers are so busy. So I think Cubbyhole kind of reminds them of a small town comfort kind of place.
And it's also, for those who don't know Cubby, I mean, it's small.
It's very small. It's under 600 square feet.
But I feel like it's purposefully small. I would.
Yes, that adds to the ambiance. But it's got a big personality.
It does have a big personality. It very much does. I mean, I started going to Cubby in college because my former babysitter was starting to realize that she was into women, and she didn't have anyone from back home to come out to really. So she would come into the city, and she didn't know anyone to go out with like that in the city. So she would hit me up because I was at NYU. And so she knew I was nearby. She knew I was chill. So she's like, will you just come with me to this lesbian bar? I just need like a safety net. She would go off immediately cruising.
Yeah.
I was just hanging out at the bar talking to some of the older women at the bar. By the end of the night, they were like, you come back.
Yeah.
You're great. Some of them were like, your friend's a little handsy. I think you can leave her at home, but you come back. I mean, this place, if I can have warm feelings about it, I can't even imagine the people the place is meant for, primarily, like what it means, to them.
Yeah. I mean, we did, and we nurture that. We want that. We want whatever we have to do to make people feel welcome. And pre-pandemic, the weekends we would sometimes get busy.
Sometimes get busy?
I mean,
excuse you? You were all like, yeah, I know this place you could bring family. I'm like, maybe during the daytime, 12:30 comes around. It's fucking wild in there. It's packed. There's lots of dancing. And it's like you're dancing wherever you geographically
you can
are.
Really dance. It was more like swaying your body because you didn't really have room to dance.
You are gonna shuffle whatever in the space you are caught in that moment.
The jukebox, very popular. But people would, on Fridays and Saturdays, it could get very busy. And, we have a limited, by law, capacity that we have to adhere to. And so they would line up. And the thing was, they'd line up and they'd wait in the rain, in the cold, in the heat. So we would give out little free chips, like the free drink chips for waiting. Because I feel like 30,000 bars in New York and you're standing in line to come into ours. It's like... I'm just so honored by that I feel, we have to give you something back for that.
It's not even like the only queer bar in 5-block radius.
Right.
It's like
there's a whole bunch of them, but you choose to stay here, and I'm humbled by that.
Well, growing up in New York City, what spaces did you have access to?
Well, the interesting thing was when I came out, it was the early 90s, mid 90s, there were so many bars. There were so many choices to be had. And even if there wasn't a particular lesbian bar that was lesbian every night, there was a lesbian night. And so like I said, there was the Click Club, there was Meow Mix.
Wait, there was an actual bar called Click Club?
Yes. It was in the meatpacking district before
I grew up in the wrong fucking era. Let's maintain that.
The Click Club was so much fun, too. It was like this dark kind of loud music, a lot of... LED lights. What are those lights? Is that the right word?
Strobe lights?
Strobe lights. I'm sorry. Strobe lights. Yeah.
I thought you were going to be like, there were a lot of clits.
There were a lot of clits in there too. Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, so that was in the meatpacking district before the renovations happened. So all that was there was pretty much the sex clubs for men, the Click Club for women, and Florent, this little 24-hour French bistro diner that you went to after you got out of the Click Club or whatever sex club you were in. And
were there more places that you felt you could go out and party back then?
Yeah, there were so many. And then, there was Julie's Uptown, there was Pandora's Box, there was the Duchess. Yeah, and now to find out there's only 15, there's only 3 left in the city. Yeah. But to find there's only 15 or 16 in the entire country, it's like, wow. I remember when I first met, again, I was about 21 when my first coming out, and there was where Starbucks was on Sheridan Square there. Yeah. There was a lesbian bar. I forget whether it was the Duchess or Pandora's Box or something, but it was the first bar I went into, and I was like really, really nervous, and I was by myself. And, it's like growing up working class Italian, even though my family was cool about everything, it was still, I came from a conservative area. And so I mentioned, and I was never just like leaning against was it the jukebox? It must have been the jukebox. And, I noticed this woman sitting at the bar, and she was like a big woman, tall and husky. And, she had taken off she was wearing a motorcycle jacket, and she had a mohawk, which made her look even more tall. And she took off her motorcycle jacket, and she was wearing, a tank top t-shirt, like one of those Hanes t-shirts. Yeah. And, I noticed like she was lifting her arm a little bit, and I noticed that she, that coming down her arm, I don't know if this is going to work on a podcast, but coming down her arm from the elbow was like a high heel shoe. And then it was a woman's leg that ended right over here at her armpit. The upper thigh ended right there. Yeah. And then from what I can see, the same thing was coming up her ribs over here, with the thigh ending over here, and she hadn't shaved the armpit. And so now, being a nice Catholic girl from that's not something that you would see in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn in the early 90s. So I might have been looking at her, and I think maybe she thought I was flirting with her or not, but she came over to me, and she looks down on me. She was very tall, and I want to dance with you. And it wasn't a request. It was, and then she puts on this unusual song on the jukebox. I don't know if you do. It was from the 1950s at the Hop. I don't know if you know.
Hop, Hop,
yes, that was it. And she literally lifts me off the floor and starts like doing like this hop dance with me, swinging me this way.
Oh my gosh! Just that's gotta be terrifying.
I know, I was terrified. And then it ends, and then she puts me down.
What a sentence. The song ends, she put me down.
I was like, thank you very much. And walks over, and I was like, oh my God.
Was that your first time?
That was my first lesbian experience, yes. Out in a bar, being like hit on, being whatever, dancing with another lesbian, yes.
And how did you feel?
I didn't know what to make of it. I was exhilarated and a little scared at the same time.
You were like, is this what being gay is? I had no idea. It wasn't in the manual.
Right. But yeah, so anyway, how did I get off on that tangent? I was just telling you all the places we go.
Like what spaces you had access to back then when you were coming out. Because like there were, it seems like to have been more then than there are now.
Yes. So, I started going, because there were so many, I used to go out different ones, and I met a group of friends, and we used to go out all the time on the weekends, and there were a lot of places to go. And like I said, if it wasn't a lesbian bar, it was a lesbian bar for one night. They used to have lesbian parties. And I think, that doesn't happen, or they're not around as much anymore.
And I guess I was so shocked when we did that segment for the Lesbian Bar Project, and they said that, what the number was, like how low it is. I was so shocked because, like, I think many of us would say we're in a more accepting progressive time, and yet there are less queer bars. Why is that?
I think like a big part of the reason is because we're in such a progressive time. What is that?
Give it another few. It sounds like a broken bicycle.
Right.
that's just stubbornly saying, no, I will continue to ride. Like picking it up or just throwing it away like it sounds like it should be would be defeat for that person. I'm sorry. Let's try one more time.
So...
This is why there are less of them. No, okay. No, I would say go ahead and you can answer through it unless it comes up alongside.
Okay, so it used to be that the bar was really the only place you can go to meet romantically or socially. And I think in the progressive, as we assimilated and as the broader society started to accept gay people and gay marriage and all of that, you didn't have to be in the closet anymore. I mean, it's still a long way to go, and there's still areas of this country where it's really bad, and but for the most part, I think the larger cities it's very open, and so you can come out at work and you can go to a straight bar, and it wouldn't be unusual to meet a lesbian at a straight bar or even at work. So that the reason that people used to come changed. And also with the advent of technology and all these dating sites and it was much easier going home and you could pick like who you liked and you wrote to them and then you met. And so it was less of a need for that. I think in order to survive, you sort of had the lesbian bars that did, you sort of had to like reinvent yourself a little bit and offer, it's not just a lesbian bar to pick up people. It's a lesbian bar. So you want to be around people that are like you. You want to be a cool place to, just hang out. Where you meet somebody online, go out on a date. If you like them, take them for a nightcap. I mean, that's sort of what it became. So that's why I think, and plus I think now that, a lot of lesbians are married, and I know a lot lesbians that get married have children. So, when you have children, it's hard to go out as much. The
progress society has this unfortunate toll on the businesses that used to be like a necessity.
Exactly.
And by being better as a society, like there's not as much
That's
necessity.
One of the drawbacks of it. But you can have it has a different necessity for the historical purpose of it.
As a cultural necessity.
And also as a place that you can go, not necessarily meet someone romantically, but to just celebrate your identities in a place where there's other people like you.
It's also just a great bar. $2 margarita Tuesdays.
There you go.
Whose idea was that? Right.
It's a fun.
It's fun.
You're having fun. Yeah, great price for a drink. And you're supporting like a culturally historic spot.
I gotta imagine you have to carry yourself a little differently as owner than you were as bartender.
Yeah, you gotta.
Because bartender, I feel like opens you up to some pretty wild stories. Like just like any other bar, y'all throw people out.
You have to throw people. You know what? What I find and I can't figure this out is you have to cut people off when they've had too much and they're getting obnoxious or they're getting they're intruding on other people's space. Mm-hmm. And people just get so offended about being cut off from their alcohol. It's almost like you insulted their mom or something. It's like, just go home and come back tomorrow and start all over again.
You want to cut me off? Barbara Precita is a wonderful woman.
I'm not drunk. And then, what do you mean? You're not drunk. You just threw up into your martini glass. How disgusting is that?
One more.
I know. Now I have room for more.
Is there a particularly wild story of having to dislodge someone from Cubby?
Oh, the woman came in. She was having a fight on the phone with her girlfriend, and she decided that she was going to lock herself in the bathroom and not come out. And
at this place with its a tiny space with
it's
two
the
bathrooms,
tiniest little bathroom, and we could not get her out. And trying to it's music blaring, people yelling and whatnot, and trying to counsel her and understand how heartbroken she is. And we still could not get her out. And I'm trying to it was me and another person I worked with. We were trying to lift her, to get her out. And she held on to our toilet bowl so tightly that she broke it off the...
Oh, God damn it.
And then she went completely crazy and started, I broke the toilet. I'm going to break the sink. And then she broke our sink.
I'm going to break this bathroom like she broke my heart.
Exactly. And so We had a flood all over the place. We had to close early, whatever. And, she came back, I think 2 days later. I'm sorry. Can I come back in? I was like, listen, I think you need like a little time away. I'm not banning you forever, but I think you need a little bit of break. And she did offer to pay to fix it, which was nice. But so things like that. Another person had their wallet pickpocketed, which I understand is an annoyance and it's terrible. And so she decided, as revenge, she was going to steal everything from everybody she saw. She stole people's cell phones, wallet, laptop. And the security guard sees her and she's walking. I mean, they're not even subtle about it.
Yeah,
she must
like,
have
why are you walking out with all these electronics, man?
Up her shirt. So the woman comes in and she's like 110 pounds and she's going out and she's 200. So he stopped and he sees all this and, she got into trouble because,
yeah, it's like larceny.
I said, I was talking to her as I understand, but you can't, I mean, do you realize what you did? You can't do that. And so I think a couple of the women who she did wanted to press charges. So she got in trouble for that.
Well, I mean, have you had stories on the other side of the spectrum? Have you witnessed some beautiful encounters happen? Some magic, some wonderment.
Some magic, there was one time, this was, when, I first started working here, the first couple of years, and, this woman brought in her partner of, I think they were 25 years, a long time. And her partner had, terminal cancer. And, we didn't realize, we didn't know that at the time, but the girlfriend said, this is a really special night for her and us. So we made them feel as special as possible. We sort of let them play whatever they want on the jukebox, gave them all that, bought them rounds, danced with them, just made them feel really, really special. And, the woman had several months later, I came back and she, that night was so important she passed away. She had ovarian cancer. And it's like that, you made her feel so special. And she had such a painful treatment over the past couple of years. She had such a wonderful time. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. And thank you so much. It meant so much to me. It meant so much to her. So that was one of the more poignant moments. Another one personally was, on 9/11. My stepmom, my dad's wife.
Just for context for people who are not from here, we're not like mileage wise very far from ground zero.
No, we're like two and a half miles.
Yeah,
maybe?
a few subway stops, not far.
Yeah.
Just to give that frame of reference.
So my stepmom worked in the first tower on the, I think the 110th floor. So she was killed in that. And I remember when it happened, my father had called me frantic. He hadn't heard from her. He didn't know where to get information. And, I was trying to think, okay, so I was like a nervous wreck. It was really hard to concentrate on what I was doing. And I wanted to get to my father. And, to one of the regulars at the bar, she was a regular. I didn't know her that well. I mean, I knew her from the bar or whatever. She said, and everything was closed. You couldn't get in and out of the city except one way. You had to go through Queens. So I couldn't even take a train. There was no way I could she gave me the keys to her car. She said, take my car, go. I know the Triborough Bridge is open. I think it's the Koch Bridge now. Is it at Koch?
It's the RFK Bridge.
Not the Triborough. I'm sorry, the Queens. The
Queensboro Bridge.
59th
Street Bridge.
59th Street Bridge. Is that at Koch Bridge?
I think it's still Queensboro for now.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she said that's.
I also still call it the Tappan Zee Bridge, not the Mario Cuomo Bridge.
So she said, take my keys, and that's the way it'll take you a while, but you'll get home, and don't worry about giving my car back whenever you can. So this woman I, barely knew just from the board just gave me her car to go and get to my dad, and I was able to do it. So that was another wonderful moment in Cubby history.
That's a beautiful New York experience.
Mm-hmm.
Here, take my car.
Yep.
It's 9/11. Get out of here. Find your dad.
Yep.
And I imagine you get to connect with regulars, with one-timers and all sorts, like just being a bartender and the stories you hear, I'm sure, at that bar, like, may be different from when I go to a 13 step. I'm sure you also hear plenty of stories and issues that are just like any other New Yorker bar.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you hear things and you don't exactly know what to say. I mean, you don't, like, I remember, this woman came in and she was really upset. And, so I said, everything okay? And she tells me that, I think it was her girlfriend was transgender. Oh, no. Her father was transgender.
Okay.
Was having an affair with her girlfriend. Her mother found out about it, ran over the father with her car, and is now facing like attempted murder charges in jail.
Oh.
So she tells me this, and I'm like, that'll be $10 for the scotch. Or never mind, it's on me. It's on me. like, what do you say to that? Like, it puts all your issues in perspective. Like, wow.
Yeah, hey, I'm not going to complain about that thing I was going to complain about.
Oh, and then another funny story. These two women come in, and they had just been out. They had just met online, and they went for coffee or something. And they came in. They were having a drink, deciding what to do. And one of them goes to the bathroom, and the other one telling me, "Hey, I just met this woman. I know it's quick, but I feel like she's the one. I'm so attracted to her. I'm like, I can see us together years from now. I just want to kiss her. Like, you think I should just kiss her?" And I'm like, you know what? Just take it a little slow. Maybe you should go out to dinner and then maybe whatever. So the other woman comes out, they finish their drink. The first woman goes to the bathroom, and the woman's like, "Oh my God. This is the worst date of my life. I'd rather be home changing my cat's litter. I can't stand it. I didn't want to be rude and after coffee tell her I don't want to come here, but I don't want to go out to dinner. I got to get home. What do I do to be nice and get?" And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's like, how do you miss the clues? Like,
talk about two people experiencing the same event in incredibly different ways.
Different perceptions of it. But that was funny.
I mean, do people kind of view you as like the godmother, the mama bear? Like, do people kind of come and target you for dumping their stuff, or is it just whoever's behind the bar?
Some of that. I mean, whoever's behind the bar, I think they look that. I think because the anonymity of it too. Yeah. It's easier to talk to someone than call a friend or whatever sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah. That is so wild. But like, I gotta imagine that like people use Cubby, like, yeah, you said like online dating might cut into one purpose why people will come out here. But I gotta imagine people use Cubby as a place to go to bring a date.
Yes, you know? That's what we encourage now. Yeah. Yeah. Or like if you're getting engaged, have an engagement party here. You met here, have an engagement party here. Propose here. In fact, when
we had Cubby proposals?
Oh, we've had several, but one that stands out in my mind was during the pandemic, we opened and then we had to close again.
Right.
He stopped all indoor dining and got too cold, and so. But this one couple, she so badly wanted to propose to her girlfriend here that she came in the bitter cold of February in front of the bar. We were able to get her a little table, make a little sign for her, give her a little bottle of champagne. Like, she sat in the cold just to do it in front of Cubby. And it's like, things like that, just like, it's just amazing.
And it shows that like Cubby's not only, has a place in like queer New York history, but just like it's now, that Cubby's got a place in a lot of people's histories for themselves. Like, yes. Monumental moments. But I do, like you said in the other story, I gotta imagine you've talked, I feel like U-Haul's stock price would be higher without you maybe talking some people out of Russian things.
I do.
How many same-sex weddings have you prevented from happening by saying, sleep on it?
I hope a few, because some of them, in all honesty, from what I've known, just seeing them here, and they just weren't ready yet. It was too soon. Like,
it was the first date,
Yeah, I mean, I look at me, like, I've been with my partner almost 8 years. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to get married last June, but we had to postpone that. But we were together 7 years before 6 years before we even talked about getting married.
Yeah.
And I said,
Sounds healthy.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's a little bit long, but I think maybe you should, like, you have to get to know each other a little. I know. And I would tell them, because I've been in a lot of relationships prior to her. And I said, you know what? I have been madly in love. Just devoted. I thought I was madly swinging from the chandeliers because everything. I'm telling you, you got to give it. You got to wait until that like initial craziness dissipates. Mm-hmm. And then if you still want to be with that person, you still enjoy their company without the crazy sex going on. That's when you know that that's the person.
Yeah.
Not
just like after the first fight, but after like that whole honeymoony feelings. Right. When those are gone and then you've spent some time in that.
Right.
And had a fight in that. Okay.
Yeah. That's when you can. And that's usually a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I told my sister got engaged a little under 2 years of dating. And I was like, I don't know. Y'all don't even know what a leap year is like together. Right. It's like, why don't you see a full congressional term? I don't know. And she's like, no, that's the one. And now they have a kid. And now we keep that little niece alive at all costs.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you two meet?
We actually were friends before we were together. She used to date a really good friend of mine. Uh-huh. And that's how I met her. And then they had broken up years before we started going out. And she started coming to the bar again. And this had been a good 3 years after she had broken up with my friend. And we started hanging out and talking to each other.
Your friend before?
No, she dated my friend before.
Right. And was that like an issue or was
No, because so many years had passed. So they were both over it. So, and I started seeing her as we hung out more and more. I started seeing her in a different way. Mm-hmm. And that's how it happened.
Nice. And so you didn't know her like through Cubby?
I knew her through Cubby only because of my friend who used to come to Cubby.
Right. Is that something like before you met your partner? Like, did you have to like kind of like push off advances as a bartender at one of the few lesbian bars in New York City?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you have to, you have to do that. I mean, it's very flattering if people, I think it's just the alcohol behind you that like gets
Stop it. What would you say is a major difference between like the culture at Cubby when you started bartending here like 20 years ago and now, pre-pandemic?
That's an interesting question. I find that like the younger generation, they're more, and this is not necessarily a bad thing. They're more activist, but yet not as aware of history necessarily. Mm. They're more into the social justice, which is a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing. But they're a little bit sometimes, almost intolerant of each other, of it's almost like they can sometimes eat their own. And I give this as an example. I had men and women on the bathrooms. Mm-hmm. So as a non-binary and transgender, I decided I would change those. I got a couple of people that wrote to me, and I decided that...
You turned them into all-gender bathrooms?
Right, I turned them into all-gender bathrooms. So I put the man and the woman icons on it, on both of them, and I was going to put the non-binary icon, transgender binary, but they were sold out. So I had to wait like a couple of weeks till it came in. And I got the nastiest, social media posts about how, I was being insensitive to the transgender community and all that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, we had transgender people coming in here before any other place. I mean, what? It's like, give me a break. I was like, I'm putting it there. It's just they were out of stock.
Or there's a way, or you could send an email, say, hey, I noticed this thing. I have a concern. There is an overzealousness that comes from a good place.
It does, but sometimes it's like, give people, especially people on your side, the benefit of the doubt sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, ask a question first. And then we're like, but I need to be angry. Well, hey, if they give you the wrong answers, maybe you can be angry later. But for now, maybe it's just on back order.
Yeah. And there was another incident out here where one of the bartenders, she was petting one of their dogs and she wanted to give her a treat. She asked the owners, and the owner said, no, she's on a special diet. And she said, so she turns to the dog. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. Your mom's said that, I can't. They got so angry with her that they changed their section because she called them moms, and they're not moms. They don't identify as any sex or they.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Which is fine, but why not just say, hey, we're they, not moms? And what's the anger about? How is she supposed to know? I mean, maybe you can't assume anything, but she made a mistake. She didn't mean anything. Like, why would you do that? I don't understand that, the hostility of it. And then, we're both from a different generation, so we're not used to it yet.
Yeah.
And sometimes even I forget, I just, call people girl or,
Yeah.
but it comes from a harmless place. Just correct me and I'll try harder not to do that.
Well, because the instant reaction, the way I've been explained to it, so I'm willing to be very wrong in this, but I thought the idea was we react this way to certain word stuff because we don't know where these people stand because of how we've been treated historically.
Right. But when you know,
the idea is like when you're in there, you know where everyone stands more or less. So the language allowance should be,
right.
I think expanded because like we know where we stand here as opposed to when you're at like, you're down on Wall Street, you don't know. So
right.
like you side eye a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not my place to say
you're
it
more
all,
forgiving. I think you should be more forgiving for people who, again, are on your side.
If they're at the lesbian bar with you, we know
right.
they are not
right.
hateful people, and maybe just set
and
it
it could be just like they're habitual. It takes a while. They're not used to that kind of grammatically. It doesn't come out right for them because they're so used to not doing that. So it takes a little while. That's all.
Is it different? How's it different from the activism that was taking place 20 years ago? Same community.
See, I was involved. The activism I remember was for the AIDS crisis, and that it was very aggressive, like activism, and it had to be to get people knowledge of it. And what I noticed about it was that a lot of the gay men were getting sick, and the lesbians were supporting them, were fighting for them where they couldn't. So it was like they were fighting for themselves, for their own rights, but they were also trying to carry gay men along during that horrible crisis when we were losing so many. So that's what I noticed was different. And I kind of like that they got together and we helped each other that way.
Was there infighting back then?
There wasn't a little bit. I mean, some lesbians would get resentful if they found like guys in the bar, but for the most part, no. And I'd like to think that if the need came up, that the same thing would happen now, but maybe it doesn't as much because the need isn't there. And
by need, do you mean like direct attack, even
right?
Virus,
exactly, like something like that.
Interesting. What would you
like? Sometimes I remember back then they were. Sometimes I was a little bit put off by, they weren't necessarily violent, but they were aggressive. They were like, I lived on West 10th Street and Bleecker, and they would march over there, and they would break the mailbox. They had this thing with the mailbox on the corner where I used to mail my bills. And every time they had a march, they broke that mailbox. Yeah. And I just didn't understand it.
I don't know how that's going to get us the rights.
Right. I mean, you can be loud and you can pump your fist but yeah, anyway, that just sticks in my head.
Why are we breaking shit that I use? Well,
but I feel like the young people here are equally as passionate, and it's good. And it's also good with Black Lives Matter. So they're fighting they're stepping out of themselves, fighting for their own rights, and also fighting for social justice. And Black Lives Matter. And
so instead of gay men to fight for, they are fighting for just other oppressed groups.
Yeah. So and that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. No, it really is. It really is. And I hope Cubby gets to stick around here for, many decades more.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I really do.
Do you have any big plans for when we are in the full capacity times? Like, is there going to be a bash? I know we're not supposed to have full reopening till July, and Pride is June. To which I say, okay, cool, just move Pride to July.
Yeah, just postpone it a week. Yeah, I hope so. Well, I'm hoping again they'll let us keep this outdoor stuff. I mean, they said they would, but I know owning a business in the city, sometimes what they say is not what happens. But I'm hoping, and that would allow us to have more people because, if there's no room in there, you can take your drink and have it outside. And So that'll be good. And Cubby usually on Gay Pride is just like packed, the whole entire street packed. So I'm hoping that would be okay, since they're saying that outdoors you really can't transmit this, and I think half of New York is vaccinated now, so hopefully we'll be almost near herd immunity by then, and it'll be a lot more flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Fantastic. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for chatting with me and sharing some stories about Cubby. Is there anything else about Cubby or any other story that comes to mind that you feel like you really want people to hear?
Just Tanya Saunders, who vision it was and who created it. She was just the most amazing woman. We planted this tree here in honor of her. The tree that was here before, it was crazy. The tree that was here before, we had so many storms, nor'easters, hurricanes, whatever. Nothing ever moved that tree. And then about a week before Tanya died, inexplicably, it uprooted and fell over.
You're
crazy. Yeah, crazy. And so 6 months after that, I thought, you know what? We're going to plant another tree, and we're going to dedicate it to Tanya. And we have. And her little plaque is there, and the tree is like lush and beautiful. Yeah. And so
and I covered in Christmas tree lights.
Covered in lavender.
Lavender.
For the gayness of it.
Lisa, you were a delight. Where is there anywhere people should be going to? I don't know if the Lesbian Bar Project is still happening. Should people be following Cubby on social stuff?
You should follow us on our Instagram. We're trying to work on our website. Unfortunately, someone hacked into our website and it's a mess. And every time
hacked into the Cubbyhole website.
Yeah, and they put an online pharmacy.
Going to hold the margaritas hostage. What?
They put an online pharmacy on it. It's crazy. Hey, how are you? Yeah, so I need to change the entire thing, and I just haven't had the time yet. Sure. So I have to do this. So don't go to the website, but our Instagram is where everything is up to date, and it's at Cubbyhole Bar.
Cubbyhole Bar.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, I think you're doing a great job taking over. That story is very sweet, though it's stories like that I hate because I don't believe in a divine, but then stories like that make me go like, how can I not believe that in some kind of a spiritual somethingness? Because
I question it too, but I adore Tanya so much, and I'd like to think that I'll make an exception and believe she's somewhere in the spirit world.
It's very sweet. Well, why don't you, thanks again, and why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody?
Oh. Goodbye. Thank you so much. No, I thank you. I really appreciate you reaching out to me to do this. This was a pleasure.
Do not miss. I mean, if you already missed it, you can't control that. But if you haven't, if you're listening to this on the day this is coming out, Wednesday, June 2nd, do not miss the world premiere of the Lesbian Bar Project documentary coming out tomorrow, June 3rd. On the Jägermeister YouTube channel. I'll have a link in the show notes, and I assume that link is going to be good for replays too. And of course, please, if you can, donate some bucks, some shekels, some something to the Lesbian Bar Project. Help keep these bars open, help keep them staffed. You can go to lesbianbarproject.com for that. All my social media, they're over down there in the show notes. You can get all that there, including a link to my OnlyFans. If you want to see me mediocrely fuck someone and overpay for the privilege to see it, you can find me at onlyfans.com/callmebilly. Rest in peace, Tanya Saunders. You created a great space. You did good things. Seems like you left the bar in really good hands. Everybody else, stay slutty. Promescence delay spray helps the dick havers last a little bit longer. Not really much else to say about that. It's pretty cut and dry. It's awesome. And if you want to enjoy an exclusive Man Whore Podcast discount, visit the link at the top of the show notes of this episode and fill your cart with their premium sexual wellness products. But hurry, you got to click that link before this deal expires on June 16th.